absolutely love that music. It's great.
Me too.
You dance. It's brilliant. Welcome everyone to Women's L.I.K. I hope you're all well, fit and well out there. We're hopefully going to have some laughs, ideas, and knowledge. We're hoping the show is going to be filled with that today. How are you today, ladies?
Very good, Sandra. Very good. Not as good as you, but pretty
I'm great. I'm great. I'm really great. How are you coping? Look, you know it's going to be turning into winter soon, don't you? I mean, I've got this one word which I hate, and I'm going to say it: spiders.
Oh, are you not okay with spiders?
No. And they're starting to come inside, and I've got conkers around my house. I've got spider stuff. I've got everything. You name it, I'm stopping. I've seen 2 massive tarantulas in the last couple of weeks.
Tarantulas? Were they furry? Were they really furry?
Yes.
I'm not even happy having this conversation right now. I'm just completely creeped out. I mean, my son found a massive one in his bedroom, and he vacuumed it up because he wasn't going to get close enough to put it through the glass thing.
Oh, that's cruel.
Well, you know, it is.
No, let nature, let them be. Get the glass, a bit of paper, just slot it on the top, and just look at it and say hello, and then put it outside.
I said to him, leave it running for at least 5 more minutes.
They're actually saying that if you kill spiders, aren't you supposed to have bad luck or something and whatever else? I don't. I feel bad. I have killed spiders. If anyone's watching, I'm really sorry, but I hate them. I don't know what to do. I can't get the paper. I'm very, very, very sorry. So
poor spider. Imagine if the spider was big enough it killed you. How would you feel? Not very good. If it was chasing you down the road,
wasn't it?
Well, that would be one of them films, wouldn't it? Look, guys,
try and keep them. Try and keep them.
I'm going to try my best. I need to get hypnotized or something. I don't know. Suzy,
that could work. I think that would work.
Look, guys, without much further ado, I don't want to waste the time that we have.
Yes.
But we've got a really special guest with us today. I mean, it's an amazing October. I'm going to talk about this gentleman before I bring him in. This amazing gentleman, he hails from Trinidad, but I sort of see him as a UK treasure. I feel like he's my UK treasure. I don't know about you two. But he's got an OBE, he's got a CB that he recently received for drama and for charity. He's a great man. He's known as Patrick Truman in EastEnders. And going back to my childhood, and I'm actually showing my age now, he's one of the main characters, or he was one of the main characters in Love Thy Neighbour. Yes. This man has played many characters, but he's also played, would you believe it, sort of voicing in the Teletubbies. I mean, whatever next. Oh. I would like to welcome the amazing Mr. Rudolph Walker.
Woo-hoo!
Well,
like that, you made me nervous.
Oh, how could somebody like you, so famous, be so nervous?
Never be nervous.
Never be nervous.
And it's the first time in my life that I've been interviewed by 3 amazing women. Oh, it's even making me more nervous.
We're going to be very gentle with you.
Yes.
No, I didn't ask for gentleness.
You're made of stern stuff, you are. Listen, we want to thank you for coming on. We really appreciate you coming on and making the time for us. But look, I need to ask you in the first instance, how has the last 18 months been for you? It's been a difficult time for everybody. And I know that you spent some time in Trinidad, but how was things over there, and how was COVID over there as well? How did you cope?
Well, I coped fantastically well in Trinidad. I was down there for something like 8 months. Wow. And really it was the highlight of my life, because, being back home for such a long period, it meant then that my feet was firmly grounded. It's the longest that I've spent since I left Trinidad in 1960. And I did the things that I long to do, like walk around the garden bare feet and to go to the beach and to just away from paparazzi, away from cameras, away from phone calls, and just enjoy life, enjoy the scenery, back to nature. It really was fantastic.
Sounds more. It sounds like you almost rediscovered yourself, found yourself again.
Yep, in a strange way, maybe I did. It sort of gave me the ammunition to return to the UK. I mean, well armed and fortified and strengthened for the
Well, I must say,
challenges that, you know, that we face here.
I must say, you're looking really, really good on it. You are looking amazing. I've got to ask you something now, because I see I'm a fan, and you've had an extensive acting career, and I am a fan of yours. I know that you've been acting since the age of 8 years, and you're going from strength to strength. But what made you decide to be an actor? What was that sort of pinnacle for you that said, I'm going to be an actor?
Well, it's one of those strange things that I, as you quite rightly said, I've been doing it in primary school, and the thought was that I would either be an actor or a lawyer, you know, a barrister, because the legal profession as a youngster intrigued me. You know, going to the odd cinema show, being taken by my uncle and see the courtroom dramas from America, where, you know, the barrister cross questioning the witnesses, and that fascinated me as a youngster. But acting just remained with me from primary school through to elementary school, or comprehensive, as you call it over here, to amateur dramatics in Trinidad. And of course, there was no alternative. I had to do something. I had to get out of the Caribbean. And England was the best of, an advice that I had from an old Trinidadian actor. You know, the best place for the foundation, to gain experience, and best drama schools, etc., was the UK. So hence the reason why I ended up here.
Sounds amazing, and yeah, I know that there are good schools here, drama schools. But I'm a fan. I watched EastEnders since I was a child. Angie, Den. I've been watching it for years. I admit that I hold my hands up. You've been in the show since I know about 2001. But why do you think your character, as lovable as you are, why do you think that your character stood the test of time, though? Because it's a long time that you've been in that show.
You know, if I knew the reason why, I would market that, and I would make a mint. I honestly don't know. I just give my best, and hope that it was good enough to, to sustain longevity. One of the things that I know that as I have done with all my work over the so many years, is that I enjoy it. I enjoy it tremendously. I still find it challenging. I still have that excitement when I go on set, and I also still have that's nervous tension, that nervousness, believe it or not, even after all these years. When I get a script, I spend a lot of time looking at it, and if there's anything that I need to research, I do. And so I go to the studio with excitement. I go to the studio with fun. I go to the studio with love, and it's something that I try and instill and encourage the youngsters that I get involved with, that try and go into a profession that you are going to enjoy. Because there are not many people who would, put it this way, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, be picked up at 6 o'clock, get to the studio by 7:30, maybe on the floor, start filming about 8:30. Chances are you could finish about 7 o'clock, you come home, and you have to prepare for the next day. And you could do that 5 days a week, 4 days a week, 6 days a week, and still have that excitement. So I am blessed. Hence the reason why I say that I try and encourage youngsters to get into a profession that you'll enjoy.
I like that. I really like that. And the other thing is this, remember I said to you when I met you at the prostate cancer walk that you act so well that there were people asking, you'd acted that you were ill within EastEnders, and people were still asking, were you really ill? Because they thought you'd gone. And you were so played your part so well. People were actually saying, so is Rudolph Walker still in EastEnders? He isn't very well. I said, but he's acting that. He's the part that he's playing. So you did play your part really well. I'm going to move on. No, carry on.
Well,
Sorry, you carry on.
well, no, what I was going to say, thanks for the compliment. Yes, I had a lot of that happening around the time. People worried that something's wrong. And even when I go to a reception, I meet some, oh, you have recovered. I'm so
My
glad.
mom said it. My mom said, how is Rudolph Walker now? I said, Mummy, no, that was on EastEnders. That wasn't real. He was acting that. But I've got to say that you starred in many other things though, because you played the character Bill, didn't you, in Love Thy Neighbour from 1972 to 1976. I watched that as a child, and right, guys, you now know how old I am roughly. But what was it like? What was it like playing that character? And tell me about the humour now. And I did, no matter what, I was a child, but I still did laugh as a child, even though maybe some bits were cringeworthy. How do you feel about the humour now? And how did you feel playing that character as well?
Well, yes. Before I answer that, I'll just finish something that I was just about to say on the previous the previous question or talk about the stroke character. One of the things about acting is that, and for me personally, is the amount of research that goes into that. It wasn't a case of getting the script and just going on set and doing it. I spent several weeks visiting hospitals, meeting stroke victims, talking to doctors. So by the time I was ready to shoot the scene, I had an idea of what the victims go through, some of them their history. And that is part of the industry that I love. I love the research. I love the challenges and that goes into that. So it wasn't. I'm just flattered and feel good that it paid off. But you find a lot of the actors certainly within EastEnders, they do invest a lot of time. It's not just the hours we spend on set. A lot of them spend time researching and going through researching the character before they arrive on set. Right. So your last question.
Pretty emotional stuff. Pretty emotional what you just said. And before you go any further, it was also to say that I've had friends who have had strokes. So seeing you play that part was very, very emotional at the same time. So you played it well. And, I don't want to take it away from people who have had strokes, but you did play it well. So obviously you definitely did brilliant research. And, it is acting. Yeah, no, you were great. Sorry, over to you.
Yes, Love Thy Neighbor. You may know that yes, you're quite right. It was in the 70s. One of the things that I keep telling people, Love Thy Neighbor was never meant to solve the racial problem. I mean, if you could solve it through Love Thy Neighbor, a half-hour comedy series, then we don't have a problem. But the fact remains, it was done for, as far as the writers are concerned, to make money, to popularize themselves, a name for themselves, and also for the actors. But even at the time, none of us expected it to have the sort of impact it had. And we have to be very careful when we talk about, Love Thy Neighbor in 2021. This is a different era. This is a different period. Life has changed dramatically since then. I don't expect that Love Thy Neighbor will be acceptable today. But in those days, you got to remember, first of all, there wasn't a single Black character on television who was in your living room 3-4 nights a week or twice a week or whatever over a 4 or 5 year period. Not only was he a Black character, but he wasn't an Uncle Tom. He was a character that give as much as he get. So if the other character hit Bill Reynolds, he's going to retaliate and vice versa. So it wasn't a yes sir, no sir, you can't do this, no ma. No. And that is one of the things that I insisted. We talked about very early on when I was cast. I said, look, this character is not an Uncle Tom. He will never be an Uncle Tom. And I think this was so important. And it in a way it reflected when I visited schools, because suddenly youngsters in Brixton and Bristol and all, I mean, they were excited because, you know, you arrive and the black kids in particular were, you know, they were hilarious. They were able to stand up and say, yes, champion, I like how you treated him. So it had that positive aspect. But as I said, it wasn't meant to be, to solve the problem of racism. No.
No, I do. I think, sorry, you carry on. I was going to just say
Yes,
you
but
definitely gave as good as you got in there.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
What worries me is that many years later, you find that there are critics of the series. But do we sit back? You see, the reason why you have me here and talking to me is because of Love Thy Neighbor. There is no two ways about it. I wouldn't be here talking to you if it wasn't for Love Thy Neighbor. I wouldn't be doing EastEnders if it wasn't for Love Thy Neighbor. I wouldn't be doing Love Thy Neighbor if it wasn't for those American actors who did the things that I wouldn't do, and I didn't, and those rolled their eyes, but they laid the foundation. You know, there are actors who did what they had to do so that the likes of people like me and the big names who are doing fantastically well now, so that they can move forward. So I think it's very important to acknowledge actors who came before me and held spears. I didn't, because I wanted to move on to another level. The actors who did the rolling of their eyes and who played, you know, non-speaking parts at Royal Shakespeare Theatre Company, I take my hat off to them, because they laid the foundation for Rudolph Walker to do what he is doing today. I refuse to go to the Royal Shakespeare Theatre Company and hold spears. I told him quite categorically, you cast me in something that I can show my talent. I am not going to be an extra on stage. Not many people realize that those were stands I took then, because I wanted to take my career to a different level.
Thank you for saying that. I love that what you said it, and I really respect that, and I do appreciate the fact that you were sticking up for yourself, and we saw that in the show, and it was a sign of the times, and also the fact that in the 60s, you know, there was racism. I'm not saying it was right, but there was racism, and you retaliated. So, well, fair play to you. I love that answer. I am going to pass you over to Angela now. She's got, I don't want to hog the limelight, but listen, you know what? I've got so much to say. I'm going to pass it to you, Angela's
Hi, it's so lovely to have you on the show. And I hesitated. I was about to say Rudolph, and I felt quite rude, because, you know, as an elder, it's like Mr. Walker, because we were never allowed to call people by their first names, but I still feel honored to be here with you, which feels great.
Well,
just as go on, sorry.
No, I just said it's a pleasure. It's an honor for me as well to be interviewed by you all.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to just touch on the Love Thy Neighbor. This is a positive that came, well, whether it's positive or not, but I just wanted to say, as a result of watching that program as well as a child, all our family sat around the TV and was watching it. My first day at secondary school, I walked into the classroom. I was the only black girl that was in the classroom. And I remember this blonde-haired boy. Should I call out his name? His name was David Holloway. Came to my school.
Poor boy.
There's plenty of David Holloways in the country, so you know.
Poor boy.
This David Holloway will remember. And when we were all asked to call out our names, and he turned to me and pointed at me and said, Barbie, which was your wife in Love Thy Neighbor. That was a name that I carried through secondary school. Everybody called me Barbie at school. So I just thought I'd never ever thought I'd ever have a chance to kind of say to you that, you know, your wife who was called Barbie was my nickname at school. And even now, some of the friends that I went to school with, who I haven't seen me for a long time, say, "Oh, Barbie." but just wanted to just kind of put that out there and just kind of be saying that. I couldn't believe that was, and people say to me, why is it called Barbie? Is that the doll? I said, no, it was about love thy neighbor, but not everybody got that. But anyway, just wanted to share that.
Well, one of the things is that, as you know, and I would endorse that. I would call you Barbie because she was very, very attractive.
She was.
Thank you. I will accept that. I will accept that. From you.
So there you are.
She was beautiful.
It was a compliment.
In fact, you know what? I will receive it as that now. Now that you've said that, I feel honoured even more so.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I will remember that. So, moving on, in all the acting roles that you've played, you've set up a foundation, haven't you? Rudolph Walker Foundation. How long has that been going? And can you tell us about how it all began?
Well, to say how it all began, I'll have to go back to the period of Love Thy Neighbor, because that was such a pivotal time of my involvement in schools. As I said earlier on, I visited a number of schools during Love Thy Neighbor. Brixton, Tulse Hill School, Dick Shepherd School in Brixton, Bristol, Birmingham, and various schools. And one of the things that struck me is that, and most of you all know, those were the days of the search and thing law, sus law, where it was being stopped. And a lot of the youngsters in Brixton said, Mr. Walker, we have a problem because we leave school, some of us sort of gather and we have a laugh at the corner, and we be stopped by the police, and harassed by the police. And I thought, well, at the time, growing up as a kid, I didn't have that problem in Trinidad, because after school, it was a thing for some of us to get together the corner and have a laugh, pitch marbles, maybe play cricket, making sure that you get home by a certain time, otherwise is licks down the line, and certainly from my mother. But there wasn't a problem after school. And I thought at the time, well, think of something that the kids can do that is positive outside school hours. So I came up with the idea of an inter-school drama competition where the youngsters would get together in groups of 10, write, direct, and perform their own 10-minute or 15-minute drama piece. And I had those two schools involved, the Dick Shepherd and the Tulse Hill School. And each school will select maybe the 3 best groups. And on a Sunday, we'll gather in one of the schools, invite celebrities to come along, and we'll judge the best actors and, best in those days, best actors, actress, best stage manager, etc. And it proved a big hit. But the whole point is that it gave a lot of youngsters things to do outside school hours. And it was, as I said, it was great. The youngsters went on to do other things. It wasn't geared mainly for the ones who want to be actors. It meant give them self-confidence, how to communicate with each other. You go for a job, you know how to present yourself. So that was the whole aim of it, apart from everything else, communicating with your fellow students. Unfortunately, that finished because the schools no longer existed. It's now housing estates. So after about 3 or 4 years, that was the end of that. And a few years ago, I was approached by a youngster who worked for the council in London, and said, I want you to visit some centers where youngsters were either expelled from school or they're on the point of being expelled. They have serious problems, issues. I visited several of those schools and decided between us to relaunch the inter-school drama competition for the same purpose, to give them something to do, to build their self-esteem, to know that there are people out there who care about them. Not just me, but I engage a lot of high-profile community individuals to visit schools and be mentors. And on my 70th birthday, I launched the foundation for that purpose. Not only for the drama awards, but do things like role model awards and other activities that we have undertaken. And that's how the foundation, the Rudolph Walker Foundation, came into fruition.
Wow, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And like you said, it started out and then it stopped, and you've started something else back up again. And even with all the work that you're doing, you're still finding time to support the next generation, as it were, to come up. And like you said, it's so important for children to have that sense of confidence and self-esteem in order, because that can carry them throughout the rest of their livelihood, their careers and everything like that. So it's amazing. So
Well,
it's going really well.
Yes, it is so important. We all have a contribution to make to the next generation, in spite of the problems that they are facing, and it's the challenges. They're huge. I am a father. I'm a grandfather. And I sometimes despair. Going through COVID, going through all the challenges that parents and young parents that have, and not getting the support from the powers that be. Let's be blunt about that. One still feel that one is marginalized. And it is a source of worry, not just in the UK, right across the globe. The challenges are tremendous. So if there is any small way that we, as people who have, been able to break a few barriers or step over, certain hurdles, can look back and say, look, I'm going to try desperately and bring some others along, then I think it is important that we do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. What's been the response been like? How many young people have gone through the program or taking part now?
Well, to be quite honest, quite a number, and figures I don't have, but the response have been fantastic. Response, as might sound trivial, but like youngsters on the verge of being expelled from school and have turned because of the program that they got involved in, have turned their lives around and ended up being prefect and going on to university and doing things, as I said, not with acting, because as I said, it is not mainly for people who want to go into the industry. It is for everybody. So, and yes, the feedback has been good, and it's growing from strength to strength. We are hoping to launch something similar across the Caribbean, so it become an international inter-school drama competition.
Wow.
And a lot of interest across the other places where the problems are the same.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing for it to start go. It started in London and is now potentially going international. And what an amazing kind of legacy for you to leave behind. That's fantastic. Just one more final question before I move you on to Suzy. In the early years, I guess there was many struggles in getting parts, in acting. But how do you think TV's changed over the years for Black actors? Or do you think there's still barriers around for them, in your experience?
Yes, the struggle still goes on. I sit back and I am still appalled that for an actor who has had his training over here for many years, laid the foundation, has been to drama school, for him to be totally respected, he still has to leave the shores of the UK and go to America and make a name for himself, then to return and be given the accolade that he should have had when he was over here. The doors should have been open for them when they were here. And you know, there are a number of actors who have had to do that. And this is a reflection on our society. So there is a lot of work to be done. You know, we are scratching the surface of what need to be done. You know, there need to be a total respect right across the board. Let's not, let's not beat the bush. It's not just in acting; it's right across the board. We have cases of people who are not in, of Afro-Caribbean background, who are not in key posts and decision making, be it football, be it politics, be it whatever. There is not enough decision making individuals represented in key roles. So hence the reason why there is a struggle for the likes of us to really, for the general public to look at an individual and say, yes, he's making a difference to my life, or so there is a long way to go. Yes, we have made progress, but it's just we are scratching the surface.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, we're scratching the surface, but at least it's moving steadily, as slow as it might be. Where I'm hoping it's moving in the right direction. Yeah.
It is moving in the right direction. I mean, one of the things that I am so pleased about is that a lot of there are one or two, I wouldn't say a lot, but there are a number of young Black actors, directors, writers who are now form their own company, broadcasters like yourselves, who form their own company. So therefore, you have a say, you have control of what is going on, and they're coming on board as producers and directors, and I think that is fantastic. That there is where we want to go. There is where, when I visit schools, I tell youngsters, you don't only want to be a doctor. You want to have your own surgery, your own practice. You want to be in charge. You don't just want to be a mechanic. You want to have your own shop, your own business. That is where you want to aim for. You want to be in control. You want to, we can't all be, but if that is your aim, then it's going in the right direction.
Thank you. I just feel so inspired just even listening to you. I could listen to you all evening, all day. But for now, let me pass you over to our other host, Suzy, and Suzy's going to ask you a couple more questions.
I am.
So thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker, how very nice to see you. It's really strange to say Mr. Walker because that's my grandfather's name, Wilfred Walker of Brixton. So I feel like we already have some kind of familial connection somewhere down the line.
Hang on.
It's the grandfather bit you heard, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
His name is Mr. Walker.
Wilfred Walker, yes. Yes.
Do you know him?
From Kingston, Jamaica.
I'm just asking. Be careful now.
He lived at the top of Brixton Hill. Top of Brixton Hill is where he lived.
Yeah. No, but where is he from originally?
Kingston, Jamaica.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, if he was from Trinidad, then I would start getting worried.
I was like going to say, do we need to see like a family tree or something to make sure?
You know what? It's a good thing. We're all everyone out of many, one people.
Yes, and we're all connected in some way.
We're all connected. I'm watching this and I'm listening to the interviews this evening, and I feel like, it's a sort of out of body experience. It's so wonderful to talk to you. It's really an honor. We actually met a few years ago in 2018 at an event in Birmingham, Kemby's Return to Your Roots, and you gave a wonderful address there to the audience about men getting tested for prostate cancer. So I'd like to just talk to you a little bit about that and your involvement with the charity Prostate Cancer UK. So can you just explain to us why that's something that's close to you?
Well, for two reasons. An uncle of mine who I was very fond of, he died of prostate cancer. And he was ill for quite some time, lived in America the last 15 years of his life. So that is one of the connections, hence the reason why I got involved with prostate cancer. But nearer home, this is a sort of a story. I was on a flight to Trinidad a number of years ago, and a guy came on board, looked at me, and he's from Trinidad, and sometimes you meet someone in life and you think, wow, as though you've met before. Just you start talking, and there's a closeness, and you meet that, and that happened. And we spend the whole flight talking about our lives. And he was on his way. I think he was going to Trinidad, and from there going on to Barbados and other parts. And he traveled the world. He grew up in Trinidad. No, I'm sort of abbreviating the story a bit. But as I said, we got on like a house on fire. I got back to the UK. We kept in touch. I visited his home in Nice, and as I said, he became a sort of a long lost brother, because I didn't have a brother, and I was told by my mother, or I was kind of aware that there could have been a younger brother who died, more or less in childbirth. So, and I have two younger sisters. So there was, not having a younger someone around. And suddenly at that age, as I said, it was maybe about 15 years ago, suddenly this was my brother. So we treated each other as brothers over there. And he sadly developed prostate cancer and died. And it was a hell of a blow to me. So when EastEnders decided that we are going to do episodes of EastEnders. In fact, I spoke to them about that prostate cancer, and they decided, unfortunately, it wasn't my character that they chose. They chose another element. I took it upon myself then to get involved with prostate cancer, the Prostate Cancer Association. And once again, I did, although my character wasn't involved in it, I visited a lot of patients and talked to quite a number of doctors, and just got involved with the association. So I have been supporting it for a number of years because of those links. And as you all know, because Sandra, you did a fantastic interview with Professor a few weeks ago, which I watched, and I thought it was, the things that he revealed and his involvement with prostate cancer was so revealing. And the fact that Black men, such a high percentage will be dying on a daily basis from prostate cancer. It's something that should really be in the forefront of our thinking.
Definitely.
Why do you think that there is a sort of stigma with Black men in particular who are vulnerable to prostate cancer? What's going on there, and what would your message to those Black men be of that, that age where the risk increases?
Well, as the professor said, that if you had, if there is, from your relatives or your parents, if along the line they had prostate cancer, then men of 40 and beyond should start, should have the tests. If there isn't a history of that, then certainly all Black men over the age of 50 should have the blood test. But you know, it is not just you know, it just won't affect just as a man. You know, you got to think in terms not only of yourself, but you have to think of your, you know, family that you know, you leave behind, or who will suffer as a result of that. And it's something that if it's, you know, if it's discovered early, it is not a killer. It can be cured. It can be, and so why not give yourself many more years on this on this wonderful earth that we have here, and be a contributor to you know to life, to improving, you know, be around to improve the you know, your children's lives, and to be there for them
Yeah,
as they get older,
as they get older. I mean,
and the
we need
wives have
that
a,
line.
yeah, we need it, you know. Let us, you know, we need lives to go on to what I was saying earlier on, to be leaders, you know, to under as the Calypsonians say, sang many years ago, the more they destroy is the more we come.
Very
You know,
powerful.
so
Love
it's a
that.
powerful word. So don't
Yes.
don't you know, don't destroy your life. Don't, you know, you have a
Yeah.
contribution to make.
Definitely. I think that's so important. And I think, as you say, it's a treatable condition if caught
Yeah.
early enough. So, you know, message to black men, get tested. If you're of a certain age, or if you've had the prostate cancer in the family, just go and get the blood test. And then, you know,
Yeah.
give yourself a chance, basically.
Of course. Of course.
On a slightly lighter note, as an actor, and it's Black History Month currently, I'd love to find out from you who are your sort of Black heroes and heroines, past or present. Who do you admire?
Well, there are.
Sorry.
Oh dear.
Let me take this seriously.
Oh, I gotta be so careful.
Oh, do you want to tell us in secret?
No.
Whisper in my ear.
Put it this way, I'll try not to be too controversial. First of all, growing up as a youngster, they're my heroes, and they're unknown to you or anyone else. There is an aunt. Well, I call her grand aunt because she was my mother's aunt, who to me was just fantastic. She was one of the. She was very. What should I say? She was very black in complexion.
Mm-hmm.
Her 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 husband, who I never met, must have had Portuguese extract,
Mm-hmm.
because down her line, her children and grandchildren came out kind of a lighter shade. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But she was the matriarch of the house,
Yes.
you know, and I loved her. All she had to do was to say, I was called Malcolm. You talk about being called Diana. My name was Rudolph Malcolm Walker. So growing up, they called me Malcolm. Anyone who I went to school with would say Malcolm. And all she had to do is say, Malcolm, come here. Malcolm, stop that. Or I misbehave. All she had to say was, Malcolm, I'll burst into tears if I misbehave. The other hand, my mother would beat me left, right, and center. I would cry.
Yes.
But it was a different, but she was just so fantastic. But as growing up as a kid, she would have all the youngsters at one table and the grown-ups at another table, and you had to progress. You had to earn a place at the
Yes.
table with the adults,
Wow.
which means you have to be able to have a conversation. You have to be able to hold your knife and fork. You have to be able to close your knife and fork when you finish. I mean, she was very Victorian, and you had to come inside at a certain time, have your shower, get to bed at a certain, and I mean, but it was fantastic. So as a woman, you know, she was a kind of a hero to me. The other woman who was also a hero is, I talk about the uncle who died from prostate cancer. His wife was white American. And I spent a lot of time, and he worked on a boat. So he was away quite a lot of the time. And I would go down there and keep her company. You know, help to clean the house and get under the house and collect eggs and things like that. And I adored her. It must have been strange in those days to see me as a youngster, as an 8-year-old, as a 9-year-old, as a 10-year-old, walking the streets of Port of Spain, holding on to this white lady's arm or holding her dress and walking. But it was I realized as I grew older and I come to England, it was an education. So I didn't know that deep thing of racism and prejudice. I was an open book. I just love people around me. I just, regardless of who you are, Indian, my first girlfriend, she was Indian. It was just one of those fantastic upbringing that meant so much to me, and in a strange sort of way, equipped me with the tools to deal with life in the UK. I didn't know at the time. I had no plans at the age of 8 and 10 and thereabout, and 11 and 12, that I was ever going to be in the UK, you know, earning a living or you know, opening or whatever. So in a way, I was being prepared in a strange sort of way. There's someone out there who's preparing someone for the future. Then maybe that was the preparation that was there. So then I go on to people who are aware. My mother, although I had what I would say a very Victorian upbringing, because I was a single parent family. I was brought up by my mother, and believe you me, she used to beat me for a father, for everybody. Guys who I grew up with, I'm telling you, guys who I grew up with, when I go home and we get together in the corner and we have a chat, they would say, you know, Malcolm, you got licks for all the boys in the area. And that was a fact.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And they were scared of her.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, my mother, to go to the market, she was well dressed.
Yes.
And it wouldn't be unusual for her to put on high heel shoes to go to the market.
Wow.
Now that's,
I mean, she was
a shopping outfit.
She had a dignity,
yes,
a pride about her that was second to none. You know, and I must admit, I only appreciated what she was doing for me as I grew older.
I can see that. I can see that in you, that the way you present yourself, the way you carry yourself. You know, they say you have the ancestors all the time with you.
Yes.
And I can see all of those people you've just talked about in the man I see in front of me today.
Yes, absolutely.
But anyhow, the two people who you would probably know, you might not, the first one was Paul Robeson, the late Paul Robeson, who growing up as a kid had the most amazing voice. Bass baritone, to me, still one of the best bass baritone voice there ever was. And then you read, all I heard growing up as a kid was this fantastic singer who, you know, you listen to his records and you thought, wow. But as I grew older, I realized there was more to him than just his voice.
Yes.
You know, he was before Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and these guys. He was fighting for Black causes. You know, he was a man of dignity, a man of pride, a man who was out there challenging, you know, the powers that be. So he, in a way, silently became a sort of a hero figure for me. And I moved to our times, the late Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
Who to me, he used his boxing skill it was the foundation for what I think, if he was still alive, would have gone on to do great things for all of us.
Yes.
I had the good fortune, again, going back to Love Thy Neighbor and my involvement with Brixton, Paul Stevenson, who worked a lot in Brixton and who was the governor of one of the schools, invited Muhammad Ali to Dick Shepherd's school, or Tulsa school.
Yes.
At the time when I had one of my performances or foundation, and I was invited. And before Muhammad Ali left the school, he turned to a poet, Clarence Thompson, and myself, and said, "Look, would the two of you like to join me at the Hilton for lunch?" Well,
Wow.
Well, I can't describe how I felt at the time. And I said, "Yeah, of course." So we got into our little taxi and we got to the Hilton Hotel. We had to wait for him, of course, you know, because we were early. We were so excited. And Mohammed took us down to the hotel. Photographer came and he said, "Look, you take some photos and leave. This is a private conversation." And Muhammad Ali, his lady friend, Clarence Thompson, and myself sat there for what? Nearly 2 hours. And I sat there and I realized I was in the company of someone who was great, who was deep. And you realize that boxing was just a show. It was a means to do other things. You know, you listen to him and you listen to his philosophy and how deep and how involved he got with governments and various people across the road and how a world. And yes, he has remained one of my idols, one of, you know, individuals who I often think of, you know, as fantastic for our people. And for the world, not just our people, for the world.
Yes.
Yeah. It's me. Wow, that's an incredible selection of stories and memories and inspirations. You know, so thank you so much for sharing that with us all. Really, so fantastic.
Yes, thank you.
Rudolph, I hope you don't mind me asking, but I know you had a birthday recently and you turned 82. But I will say this, look, we can read your age, it's no secret. What are you doing to stay so young looking? And I don't want to say that sentence that we all know, but what are you doing? Because what do you do in your spare time that keeps you like that?
Well, well, thanks for the compliment, saying that I look young. I don't know. I mean, we're not close enough, or neither of you are close enough to really see the cracks and crannies.
I saw you.
No, there's no cracks. I don't see no cracks. Just mature lines.
I gotta be so careful I got to be so careful with what I say. Now, for instance, I played tennis this morning for about an hour and a half. And the intention was to come home and think that, right, I'm full of energy. I can do the cleaning. I can go to the garden and I can power wash this. And you know what? I ended up going to a fantastic takeaway place here in Reading, West Indian takeaway place, and getting
Nice.
a soup, coming home, putting my feet up, had half of the soup and fell asleep.
But that's great.
Literally fell asleep. No,
You needed to rest.
No, but I got annoyed with myself because I felt, no, there are things to be done. You know, I have papers scattered all over the place. I'm writing my autobiography, and I lack the energy and things to get on and do it. You know, the foundation. So when you talk about age, I think that's where I fail. You know, younger, I would have played tennis for all day and come home and do things like that.
Oh yeah.
And I don't anymore. So I don't know how you measure, but once again, I say thanks for the compliment. But I would also add that one of the things that I try desperately to do, and I have that as part of my, not part of my routine, but part of my psyche, is that it is so important to laugh, to have fun, even at the most serious time, to have people around me who would lighten my life, be it a close companion, be it whoever. And the laughter hides a lot of things. It hides the creases in your faces, the overweight. It's because you can take people's vision or people's mind of that. They're not going to say, oh, you know, he has a big tummy or he's walking slowly, because they're laughing all the time.
Definitely. I like that answer.
So,
Yeah.
We're actually running out of time now. I like your smile. You make me want to laugh with you.
Yes.
So, and smile with you. Look, we're running out of time. But do you have carry on? Let's go a bit further because we've got to do more.
Hence, that's the reason why I look forward. I try and visit Trinidad once a year because I get the opportunity to meet up with friends, and sadly there aren't many of them of my age who are still around, but I still get the chance to meet up with friends. And when we get together, there is one in particular that we do, or Zoom things occasionally, and we just laugh. There are jokes abundant, and it's, if you analyze what we are saying, it's absolute nonsense.
I like that.
It's absolute nonsense. We would take the mickey out of each other, but we say one thing and it leads to something else. You know, it might be, you can't afford to be politically correct. You know, and this is what is so sad about, I find sometimes, about life now. And we have to be so careful with what we say. You know, I can't turn to you as a female as I would do with someone who is close to me. And I have a lady friend who I would take the mickey out of her. I would, her stringy blonde hair or whatever it is, and vice versa. It's a lot, because that would lead to another bit of jokes, and we end up falling and laughing. And the same with my friend in Trinidad. Sometimes his wife would say, "But how can you tell the man that?" You know, how can you let him tell you that? but it is done in a way because it's humorous. There is nothing, whatever word about it. It is what it is. And we
Definitely.
come away crying with laughter. The wife end up crying with laughter, and it is so good for the soul.
Definitely,
It is,
definitely.
it is.
And that's definitely
Yeah.
what Women's L.I.K, we're about laughs as well.
Yeah.
We're actually coming to the end of the show now. We've really enjoyed having,
Oh.
well, I mean, I'm hoping that we can meet you again and talk some more, because, you know,
Yeah.
it's been fabulous having you. And I could listen to you all day. And we're just waiting for that autobiography now as well.
Yes, absolutely. Can't wait for that. You have to come back on and let us know when it's launched.
I'm sure you'll have a launch party.
Yes.
We'll be there. We'll be there.
We'll be there.
But listen, look, I wanted to let everybody know that our next show will be going out on November the 28th. So that's when our next show is, November the 28th at 12 p.m. And once again, Rudolph, listen, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. But we will have to have you back again so that we can have another chin wag with you. It's been fabulous. So thank you very, very much.
Yes, fantastic. It's been lovely to meet you.
It's been brilliant.
Thank you all very much. It's been fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I feel flattered and honored that you all, well, three. I mean, as to say, three for the price of one. I couldn't have asked for anything.
You're not always going to get that. We're not always going to get that.
Yes, there aren't many men of my age who would sit in a room and be interviewed by three beautiful women. I am going to maybe put that in my autobiography.
Please do. That's a whole new show. Rudolph, can we ask that you just stay, the show is coming to an end, but can we ask that you just stay on at the end? It is coming to an end now, but could we ask that you just stay on at the end, please?
Yeah.
But thank you guys for watching, and everybody out there, do stay safe. It's very difficult times. Look after yourselves, and if you have got any medical concerns, do go to your doctor or a healthcare professional. So thank you very much for listening, and let's say goodbye to everyone, really.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
you.
Bye-bye. See you all soon. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Bye.